name, because I did tell him, I'm like, Andrew, we're gonna get to where you're at faster than you did. And his comment was, I hope you do, right? For a couple of reasons, because he's an integrity partner. So he's like, well, that helps the stock, so good for me, right? But he's also, I've learned a lot working with him, and I've learned a lot from everyone in FFL. But like the way that that group like really thinks, and they just are always cheering each other on, I love. And I did a call with Josh Williams earlier today for his team, and then he's going to get on our managers call this weekend. But he went from zero to $1 million faster than anyone, right? He started in February, and they're going to hit $1 million this month. They're on track for it. So I was talking to him. I'm like, thank you for everything you're doing, because it's really cool when people like that come on and raise the bar and set a different level, different expectations. Which is what we're always just trying to do, at least within our group. Like that's one of our goals, is just to try to always keep raising the bar and stretching what everyone thought was possible. Like when I started here, if you would have told me in 2018, when I started January 2018, that people would be writing $100,000 a month, I would have thought you were absolutely full of it. Or if you'd have told me that there was groups that were getting to $1 million a month in 6 months, I'm like, that took me 2.5 years, I think, to get to, or 3 years to get to $1 million a month. So if you'd have told me all that stuff, I would have thought you're like full of it. And one way I started looking at it with some conversations, one time Sean said, the company's pacing here. Which side of it do you want to be on? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, do you want to be the side that's pulling us up or the side that's pulling us down? And I'm like, I never want to be the side that's pulling the company down from growing, right? So kind of like our thinking, and I work, with Easton a lot and a lot of other guys, and I'm so excited to work with you guys. But a lot of our thinking on it now is like, how do we bring a lot of value to the company and help raise the bar, in all aspects of what we're doing. And a lot of these things we thought weren't possible before. It's like, well, we already obviously have seen that they're possible. So why could we not go from, $2 million a month, $2.5 million a month, where Andrew was at in February of 2020? Why a year and a half later could we not be doing $20 million a month and get there faster than he did? Because he's already laid out the path for us and showed us how to do it, So I think that's a lot of the thinking. Is like, sometimes we just kind of get in this little bubble where it's like, oh, this is kind of what's normal and what's possible. And it's like, while getting to VP and writing 30, 40 grand a month, that stuff's all great. But with the system we have in place, there's no reason we can't have many writers doing 50, 60, 70 grand a month. There's no reason we can't have people starting now to go to $1 million a month in less than a year, if we all channel the activity the right way and find the right people. So that's just kind of like how my brain works. I'm really competitive. I think, you probably noticed that when we were talking, but I was telling you, I just want to win, and I want everyone else to win too. So that's like where we're at. And I was talking to Easton earlier today, and he was like, I think that we could get to $2 million a month by December, is what he was saying. And they just hit $1 million for the first time last month. And for a second, I was like, that sounds a little crazy. I'm like, nope, I'm not betting against them, dude. Let's definitely do that. So that's just kind of, it's not like setting unrealistic goals. It's setting goals that stretch you and make you, figure out, how do we get there? How do we make that happen? Oh, and if we fall a little bit short, it's still much more than we thought we could accomplish in the first place. Does that make sense, Neil? So it's not like being unrealistic or like, pie in the sky, but it's like there's so many people doing. Oh, yes, did I mute myself? We good? Where'd I lose you at?
Yeah, we got you now. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was just saying, that's just kind of the thinking behind it, is like, people have already been stretching and doing things that we didn't think were possible. It's like, how do we not, with all the systems we have in place, it's not even remotely a question in my mind. I don't think anyone on this call's mind that this is by far the best place you could work, if you're going to do any sort of sales job. Like, people that are doing 150,000 as a team, are getting a $2,500 bonus. Like that's a lot of money, right? People that are doing, I think they said the biggest bonus was about $488,000 this month or something like that. It's like, that's unreal, So how do we see that big picture and break it down into smaller steps? And something we've always just been focused on, at a really intimate level, I guess, if you will, is, FFL makes no money, managers make no money, agents make no money if people aren't selling insurance, right? So our goal has been, how do we find people that have the right, desire, they want to make this thing work, and how do we do everything we can for the people that want to do that and help them write 30, 40, 50 grand a month, get them to where they're making more money than they ever have, and then have them turn around and be able to, work from a place of power and teach other people to do the same thing. So like big picture is like we're going to grow faster than anyone else ever has, because I really believe that we have the capability in the team to do that. And on a small picture, it's remembering like it comes back to the simple stuff, leads and dialing, but we have to remember, make sure we're doing all those little things and putting our agents in the place to win and help them get started and help them, get to that 30, 40, 50 grand a month if that's what they want to do. Or if people want to do 12,000 a month, that's okay. Let them do 12,000 a month and find more people that want to do 40, 50, 60 grand a month. Oops. Neil, I don't know if you had anything else, anything specific you wanted me to hit on that we had talked about before that you wanted everyone to hear or anything.
Well, I have one thing in particular. We have a lot of part-time agents that I think are just kind of fearful of going full-time. And as a result, I don't know if that's a natural desire or whether that's fear that's keeping them from doing that. So what do you do in those situations where you just know somebody can do it, but mentally they're just holding themselves back?
Yeah. So Neil, let's say you're part-time and you're like, hey, I really want to do this full-time. I think I can. I just don't know if I can really do it. Okay. Like, all right, Neil. So if you want to end up doing this full-time, we're going to have to make a schedule you're going to have to stick to. And our goal is going to be to replace your full-time income with your part-time income. So your full-time income is your job. Your part-time income right now is insurance, right? So are you willing to give up and sacrifice some things that you would do, after work and on the weekends, and give this a real shot, to give yourself a real opportunity in order to make this happen where you can do this full time? Or are you not really willing to sacrifice anything? And I'll wait and see what he says. If he goes, yeah, I'm willing to give it a shot. Okay, this is what I need you to do then. So on any time that you have downtime throughout the week, Monday through Monday, I want you to get on, listen to live dials, listen to trainings, whatever you need to do to feel comfortable and have the platform, if you will, to be able to go sell and make insurance, right? Then on Thursday, let's say you work a 9 to 5. Neil, on Thursday and Friday, do is as soon as you get off work, get home. Say you get home by 6. I need you to dial the phone from 6 o'clock till 9 o'clock, both of those nights, and set up Saturday and Sunday appointments. Set up 15 appointments for the weekend. Okay. Again, like I said, you're gonna have to sacrifice some stuff, but we're gonna have to have you run a schedule that mimics what a full-time schedule would look like in order to see if you're gonna be able to pull this off. Okay. So I need you to dial, for 3 hours each of those nights. I know it's gonna kids running around, but if you really want to give this a shot, this is the only way to do it. Okay. And then I'm going to have you leave open Saturday morning. So from say 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock, I'm not going to have you book the appointments that time on Saturday. And your goal is to book 15 appointments, between Saturday afternoon and Sunday. And we're going to leave your Saturday morning open, Neil, so that you can dial then and fill in the rest of your schedule at that time and then run 15 appointments. And with everyone who've had this gone part-time to full-time, that has had a successful transition, they've done this for a couple of weeks. And what you'll typically see is you'll run 15 appointments. You're going to meet with somewhere families. From those 8 to 10 families, you're going to close 3 to 5 policies. You probably spend $1,000 on leads, so you're going to net 2 to 3 grand each weekend. Okay. If you can net 8 grand for the month, would that give you enough money to be able to transition from your full-time job that you don't like right now to be able to do this full-time? And if he goes, yeah, okay. And I know it sounds good and it sounds fun saying it, but can you commit to that and communicate with everyone in your family or everyone that, is important to you in your life, and let them know that you're going to give this a real shot, so that there's no interruptions. There's no, I had to go watch football on Sunday. Nothing like that comes up. You're just gonna be locked into this for a month. Are you willing to give this a real shot? Because if you are, I'll be here to help you. And if you need extra leads or anything like that, I'm all in. But if you're only going to want to do it kind of part-time, I can't really help you get out of your position without making some sort of change. Does that make sense? That's kind of how I go through with agents who are part-time, Neil.
That's excellent. And I mean, is that something you run into a lot? Are you doing this on a regular basis, or is this just once in a while?
Yeah, so like one thing when I'm hiring, if someone's making good income, right? They're making 100 grand a year, something like that, benefits, they got kids and a wife and all that sort of stuff. I tell them like, hey, when I started here, I was 22. I had no money. My wife we had nothing to lose. We had no kids, right? So I'm not blind to the fact that you have responsibilities. So I actually recommend that you would start part-time unless you have enough money saved up to pay bills. Start part-time and do the schedule we just spoke about. And then you should see, if you do everything exactly the way we're talking about it, that you're going to make much more money being able to do this full-time. You're probably going to make more money on a part-time basis than you make from your full-time income if you do this right. and you're going to be able to double or triple what you're making with your full-time job once you transition to this full-time. So yeah, we do run into a lot, and I don't necessarily like, if people have money and they feel comfortable with it, I'm all in for them to jump in full-time. But if they want to make sure it's going to work, I don't judge anyone for that. That makes sense to me. You know, I don't have kids, but I imagine if I did, it'd be really uncomfortable to, you know, throw your full faith into something you don't know is going to work. But on the flip side of that, they're going to have to commit to a pretty difficult schedule to give it a real shot, because running 1 or 2 appointments every day after work is not going to mimic what a full-time schedule would look like. And chances are, if I set 2 appointments right now, one of them would no-show me, and I'd be so freaked out about selling the other one, I'd miss that one too. And I've been doing this for a while, you know?
Mhm.
So I just want to make sure that people are giving themselves a real opportunity to make sure that they can succeed here, if that's what they want to do. Now, if they're all in and they're like, I really need to make this work, I'll lay out a similar thing for what a full-time schedule would look like. Like, if you really want to make this work, you're going to have to stick to this. And the only thing I want you to focus on is getting to 30 appointments a week, because that's the only number that matters. If you run enough appointments, there's going to be 25% of people that are going to give you a check no matter what. But if you only have 8 appointments, that's only 1 app a week. But if you have 30, you're going to make 8 to 10 grand a week.
Perfect. And then for the benefit of a lot of new people on the call, they're going to start in the CRM. How do you start your people in the CRM? Do you do instant internet leads? What's your favorite go-to?
Yeah, I think it's internet leads are great. And I actually really love the 1-month internet leads too for brand new people. A lot of agents that do really well off of those. I think a couple things to consider when you're doing internet leads is, if you're in a big city, like a lot of your guys are in the South, right, Neil?
Right.
So say you're in, like I lived in Charleston, and then I worked out of Atlanta a lot. Like, if you're in Atlanta, you just want to be smart about where you're purchasing these leads at, right? So what I would always do is, and I would get with your manager and they'll be able to give you a good recommendation, but I'd always look around and look for areas that had leads in them that wasn't going to be right in a downtown area, for a couple of reasons. You're going to run into a lot of traffic, a lot of apartments that are hard to get in and out of, and a lot more, you know, super low income, which is fine. And you're going to have that everywhere, but it just makes your job more difficult when you're trying to deal with getting in and out of apartments, traffic, that sort of thing. So I would recommend finding an area that's maybe a little bit out in the suburbs. But the nice thing about the 1-month internet leads is they're $4 a lead. So you can get 150 leads for $700, right? And the nice thing, as a new agent though, out of those 150 leads, if you only close one of them, you're going to break even, probably a little bit more. If you can manage to sell 3 out of the 150, you're going to net about 2 grand a week if you get 150 a week. And I recommend 150 per dial session, but just say you get 150 per week, you net 2 grand a week. And if you week by only closing 3 out of 150 leads, then you're netting over 100 grand a year. So I like that, because it gives you so much room for error, where if you're buying all brand new mortgage leads, you're paying $60 a lead. It's like, you have to be a lot better to be able to, you know, be super profitable right away. And we're going to get new agents there, right? So as a new agent, what you should understand is, when you're newer, treat it like you're going through a training process, like a boot camp, if you've been in the military or anything like that, right? Where, you know, this is my first 2-3 months. I'm going to make up our dials, stay at dial day a lot longer, work a lot harder on the phones, in order to generate enough cash flow and develop my skill set to where I can then buy more expensive leads and have less long dial days. You're going to make money along the way, but just know up front, you know, that's not permanent. Where you're dialing for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours to get your 15 appointments, that's not forever. That's just until you develop the skill set and the cash flow to be able to invest in more expensive leads. So I always tell people, if you get 150 leads for your dial session for 1-month leads, you spend $700. It's your first time dialing. You're going to get frustrated every time someone tells you, no, they didn't do that, any of that sort of stuff, right? But just remember, out of those 150 leads, you're only trying to set 10 to 15 appointments from those. And from those 10 to 15 appointments, if you close 3 or 4 of them, you're going to be very, very profitable. So if, you know, instead of getting down every time someone tells you no, just, you know, hit the phone burner button, onto the next one, right? And just rip through those leads, you know. And that's what Calvin Wright on my team, Neil, who lives down in Austin, started with us, and he finally started doing some mailers, but he didn't want to for a long. And he's already Hall of Fame this year, and he started in April. But his favorite lead type is the 1-month internet leads, because he said he'll buy 150 to 200 per dial session. He's trying to cherry pick the ones that let him come over, set 15 appointments to 20 appointments from those, and close, you know, 7 or 8 apps from those. And he's written over 50 grand a month every month since he's been with FFL. And he had no experience before. He was an Army Ranger before this. But he understood, like, I'm not trying to set them all. I'm not going to get emotional. I'm just going to, just take the ones that will let me come over. The other ones I'm just going to be done with and pass them on to someone else or whatever the case is. So I think it's a really easy way to get started for not a lot of money, and it gives you a lot of leads. But I think, Neil, the other thing, I think sometimes agents think like, oh, I'm gonna have to do this forever. This sucks. But just know, like, as you're learning and as you're going through this process, once you can set appointments on these leads that are $4 a lead, by the time that you're working more expensive leads, you're going to be so good on the phone, you're going to set them all, right? But if we start you off with a $60 lead, the first one tells you no, you're gonna want to jump out the window, or go jump in front of traffic or something, because it's going to hurt a lot more. Whereas if you have the $4 leads, you get 15 chances with them, set one appointment that you may or may not set with a $60 lead.
Perfect. And one other question real quick. Are you guys actively promoting like phone burner? Is that something that your guys are using, or are they just dialing manually?
Yeah. So I think everyone that's using internet leads should use phone burner, right? Just because you'll be able to upload everything in there. You can sort them by zip code once they're uploaded into your phone burner account. I'll send you after this. There's a discount code. I don't know if y'all have it or not, but there's a discount code for phone burner that FFL set up that takes like 30% off of it. It costs like $100 and some a month, I think. So the way I looked at it for new people when I started, I'm like, should they do this? Should they not do it? Because they didn't have it when I was in the field, and I wish they did. But I was thinking, okay, if it helps you sell one more policy for the year, that thing pays for itself, right? Mm-hmm. And what I've seen with people is where you may be able to make 30, 40, 50 dials an hour doing manually by plugging it all in and all that sort of stuff, and then hitting dial 3 times back to back. When you're using phone burner, you can make 70, 80, 90 dials an hour. So again, that's just another way to be more efficient and cut your dial day down from where it might be 12 hours to like 6 hours, because you're making twice as many dials per hour. And the other thing that an agent was telling me the other day, that like, I started using phone burner and it actually makes you a lot less emotional, because you don't spend all this time plugging all the numbers in and everything. It's just there. You just click. If someone hangs up, you just click the next one. It's not a big deal. You're not like frustrated and start typing another number, and it's hard for you to take a break because it just keeps dialing for you. So I definitely recommend everyone uses that if you're planning on taking this seriously and really want to make a run at this thing. It's going to save you a ton of time, a ton of frustration by having something like that in your back pocket.
Perfect. So why don't we do this? I see Juan and Terry and Dan Hatcher and Francis and Gary. If any of the leaders have a question, or Mike, if you want to jump on.
Neil, if that's okay. I don't want to cut you off, but I
go
want
ahead.
to ask if that's cool. Zac, first off, thanks, dude. I appreciate you so much for your time. With some of our part-time agents that are on our team, I think, like, please tell me if I'm wrong, but I think one of the biggest issues is the belief level in the system, and then the belief level in themselves that they can do this thing. What do you do to help increase the belief level of those agents that they've got the ability to do this? Because I'm thinking they look at somebody like you, they're like, okay, he can write $60, $70, $80,000 a month. That's not me. How can you help increase their belief level that they can do it and go all in?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question. So when I'm talking to new agents, I always let them know, like, just so you guys know, I didn't start out strong doing this either, right? My first month I issued like 11,000. Second month was like 10, then like 15. And it took me like 3 or 4 months to get to 20, 30 grand a month, right? But with what we have access to now as far as leads, as long as you're willing to, if you're not willing to work hard, we can't help you. Like, I'm sorry for anyone that's called to that offense. Like, there's nothing we can do. But if you have a good work ethic and you care about people, if you understand the numbers and how they work, then you should feel empowered that you can do this, right? So my first full year, we went over this at the Alabama conference. My first full year, I thought I closed 25% of the appointments I set, and it was actually lower because we did the math. And if you run 30 a week, which I ran, you get 1,500 appointments, and it works out to like 500 some thousand. I wrote like 400. So it means I closed like 1 out of every 5 appointments I set, which is not good. But if you have the right amount of appointments, you don't have to be very good. You don't have to be a salesperson. I was very awkward. I still, as you guys can probably tell, I'm not like the most articulate human being ever. But if you sit in front of enough people and you care about people and you're willing to challenge them and call for help and get better, then anyone can do this. So like what I was talking about for the leads, if you get 150 leads and you're willing to be coached up and get on Zoom and, go into an office if you have one near you and ask for help and let someone coach you up and be humble like that, if you can just manage to set 10 appointments out of those and only 10 out of 200, right? Or even 15 out of 200, you spend $1,000 on leads. If you sell 3 or 4 out of those, you're going to be insanely profitable every single week. You're going to make 2-3 grand a week, and that'll only build as long as you keep the same activity up. So I think if you understand that the only thing that is required to do well at this is being willing to dial the phone and being willing to work hard and care about other people and be coached, that should empower a lot of people to have the right heart to do this thing. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, who's next?
Hey, Zach, Gary Pegues, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, man? How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for taking the time here in the dark
No
for us.
problem.
Hey, buddy, I want to ask you, as you were, so as you're building early on, trying to build this thing, and you're hiring a bunch of people, you know, I think we all kind of go through this, and you're hiring a bunch of people, but you're finding like the conversion rate of the people that you're hiring and the people that are actually getting in the field and getting out there and doing stuff seems small, right? And you start to evaluate yourself and your business and your recruiting and your training and all that. Is there a time when you and your staff or whatever pinpointed, you know what, this is the area we're not really good at. That's why a lot of these people are not out writing. So we need to change that. And if there was that, what was that in your mind? Can you remember?
Yeah, I
What
can
that was?
definitely, because this was probably like midway through last year when we made some big changes to a lot of the things we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
One thing was when we would hire agents before, our staff would kind of get them into class, you know, through the whole process, get them contracted, and then we would talk to people, right? So like only a few people are going to make it through that. So what we started doing is being in communication with everyone we hired right away, which is nice because when you're hiring, you're going to have other people that you're working with that you trust and that you believe in and that are going to do well with this business. So because you need to talk to everyone, it's going to force you to, you know, send some agents to other people so they can talk to them and help them as well and help them build their teams.
Right.
So now, like from day one, whenever someone's hired, you know, if one of my recruiters talks to them or I talk to them, if I'm going to work with them, I call them the same day. If they're going to work with someone else on our team, you know, they call them the same day and start building a relationship with them from day one. And then the other thing was making sure that our recruiters and our agents were just being crazy transparent with everyone up front about, yes, this business is great. You can make a lot of money doing it, but there are ups and downs. You're going to have to spend money on leads. You're an independent contractor. So Gary's not going to call you in the morning at 5:45 and make sure you're up and ready to dial. Like that's your job, right? And if you do well here, there's a clear-cut path that everyone follows that is successful. And so if you do well, I'm not going to take any of the credit, but if you don't do well, it's going to be because you didn't follow the system that's put in place. And if you have any questions, like, am I following everything? I'm here to help and answer that for you. And I think just challenging people more up front, like what we talked about in Alabama, whenever I'm interviewing someone, I always ask them, hey, so say, hey, Gary, you spent $1,000 on leads and you set 15 appointments, you think you have a great dial day, you go out there, you don't see anyone for 2 days, and the 3 people you sit down with tell you no and to kick rocks and to get off their porch. If that happens to you, are you going to, you know, quit, complain, or are you going to call and go, hey man, I messed something up, I need to figure out what I need to do better, maybe I just had a bad week, but I need to get better, like what's going on here? Because if you're the first one that's going to complain and want to quit, this is going to be a terrible fit for you. But if you're the second one that wants to figure out how to get better and learn from whatever is going on, whenever there's anything adverse happening, then you're gonna do really well in this business. And that will happen. Like we talked about, I looked this morning, Jake Conan's hit 900,000 this year so far, which is insane. I'm like, I don't know how you write that much insurance, but good for you. There's a lot of insurance. But twice this year, he's gone 0 for 15, right? But when that happens to him, he's back on the phone Sunday dialing, and he's making up for it the rest of the week. And he's dialing on Sunday and Monday and running some appointments on Monday, running Tuesday, Wednesday, because he makes up for it, he gets back out there because he has no quit in him and he just wants to get better. But some people will go, this is the worst thing ever, and I quit. So if you're going to be the first person or the second person that says, I'm going to quit, this is going to be a terrible fit for you. So I think combination of both, you're shooting people very, very straight about what it's going to be. It's going to be ups, downs. If you do well, it's on you. If you don't do well, also on you. Because there's so many people, you know, different ages, different sexes, different races, whatever you can think of. Everyone's doing well here. And it's just depending on if you're willing to go out there and get it, or if, you know, if you're going to blame someone else all the time, then this is going to be a hard business for you. One thing, Gary, remember Mark Mead used to always say on calls, and it's something that stuck with me. It's a little primitive, but he was always like, you eat what you kill in this business. Right.
Yeah.
And I love that, you know, because it's just like, that's his mentality. He's a warrior, right? And he's like, you eat what you kill. And if you go out there and you kill something, that's because you went out there and found, did the work. If you don't, you better get back out there. You're going to starve to death, you know?
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. And I remember you talking about a lot of this stuff here recently. So I appreciate the recap, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And I think the other thing, Gary, to just add on to that is, if you feel like you have a lot of people, you know, who aren't doing the right thing or there's only so much you can control in this business, right? So the things you can control is you can hire more people and you can go out there and write business. So whenever I'd get frustrated or annoyed or I felt like we weren't growing, I would pretend like, okay, I'm a new agent. I'm going to go write 50, 60 grand a month because I can control that. And I'm going to find a bunch of new people and I'm going to build it just like I have no team. I'm going to build it like it's from scratch and I have no team at all. And then what that does, I learned that from Andrew too, because he told me in 2000 and maybe 2018, he had a few people, and a few of them have huge businesses now doing $2-3 million a month, right? But it was just the same thing over and over. They felt like they were stale, and he was like, you know what? All I can control is I can go write some business, and I can run ads and find new people and be all over social media. So I'm just gonna pretend like I'm starting over, and then that's how he ended up finding Grady Polson and Dave Witchard and some of these other guys, just from being like, you know, I just got to find new people. And then when those guys came on, that new blood excited everyone else that they had working with them. And then Trey all of a sudden went to doing $3.5 million a month. And Jack Hughes doing $2.5 million. Like all these other guys, you know, they're like, oh, Andrew does know what he's talking about. We're going to follow him now and we're going to go do the same thing. So that's the other side of it too. When you feel stale, go write insurance and find a bunch of new people to work with.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good stuff. Thanks, Zac.
Hey, Neil. And Zac, thank you very much. The only thing is make sure, guys, to join Slack. It's on the chat room. It's exciting. Over hundreds of agents doing real well here. So make sure you guys join the Slack. It helped me, and I'm pretty sure it's going to help everyone to join that. If you're running business, you need to see how all these people are doing so well out there, you know.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Juan, we do it for like so everyone can see everyone doing well and gets excited too. But we also have everyone on Slack so that if you guys see someone on there who's posting sales 24/7 and doing really well, their contact info is on there as well. And if they don't have their phone number listed, you can text myself or Juan or Gary or Mike and we'll get you their contact info. But the reason we have people out there post their numbers is so that you know who to reach out to. You know, you see Juan on there writing 10, 15, 20 grand a week, you know, you want to reach out to him. If you just have someone else, you know, trying to give you advice who doesn't ever post on Slack or doesn't write any business, then you should know pretty quick that's not someone I should be listening to or talking to because they can't help me. So that's the other reason it's out there, is so that you know who to go to for help and who can help you sell insurance and who can't.
Okay, we got time for one. We want to be respectful of your time, Zac. We got one more question. Anybody? Francis, I know you didn't get a chance to come down to Birmingham, so if there's something you want to ask, jump in. You good?
Zac, I just want to say thanks. I've been following you on all the podcasts and everything, and it's great to have you be able to tap into your knowledge, and I appreciate it. Looking forward to growing with you.
I am too, and like I was telling everyone else, I think we're really just starting to tap into this thing and figure it out. So we got a long way to go, but I think, you know, I really think we are just getting started. So if anyone does need my contact information or anything, and you want to reach out or have any questions, you can get it from you know, Gary and Mike and Terry, and a lot of these guys have it. So if you want anything or need anything from me, just please let me know.
Awesome. Hey, one last thing as we wrap up, I just want to give a shout out to a couple people who are just fantastic. They do behind the scenes work. I'm seeing Leanne in the upper right hand corner. I don't know if MJ has the flu today, so she may be actually in bed. I know Brandy is just the backbone of the organization. And y'all, I just want to introduce Christy Mason. She's our brand new social media person. She splits her time between Nashville and LA, and we've been looking for her since April. So we're excited to have her on the team. So And then Gary, anybody else on? I just don't know all the admins in the organization.
I can't see everybody that's on here. I don't know that Heather is on here, my assistant. So, yeah, I'm not sure.
Perfect. So anybody in the Houston area, Mike is heading down there tomorrow. It's going to be an amazing seminar on Saturday. The hours are what, 11 o'clock, 11 to 5. And I know Sean Mike's coming in, Eric Hamadi, Mike Schroeds, on and on. It's just a great team that's going to be down in Houston.
Steven Giordano, yeah, will be there.
So anyways, tie into that. Zach, we appreciate you. We'll get you the recording, and just thanks for all you do, setting the tone. We got a lot of growing to do and a lot of hiring to do. So
Yeah.
we're excited to
Hey, Neil, the
part of
other
it.
thing real quick before we wrap up, next week, there's a meeting in Chicago on Thursday from 12, I think it's from 12 to 5. So Easton and I and Sean and Ivan will be there too. If anyone has anyone in the Chicago area, please let me know so I can introduce myself and get to meet them while we're up there.
Perfect.
And then there's that big conference in Phoenix coming up on November 15th, which it's going to be like a mini annual convention. So it's going to be a lot of good training. So anyone that wants to go to that, we'll get you the information. But I think that'll be a really big thing to do right before the holiday season and just give everyone that push through. And I think that'll help with our growth a lot too. So for all the leaders, man, these meetings is something I've learned over these couple of years, is getting people to these meetings is helpful because they get to meet other people who are doing really well. You know, you get to meet someone like Neil or all these other guys that are on here that are killing it. And then it gives them connections and it gives them a lot of belief, just getting to see everything in person so they don't feel like they're on an island. So it really is important to get to a couple of these meetings if they're anywhere near you.
Yeah, I'm from the Houston area. Hi, my name's Ronnie Patrick. I'm a brand new agent. Just got access to this CRM today. Woohoo. Yeah, it's been a long journey. So I'm excited to be here. So yeah, I'm going to be meeting Mike, and I'm going with 2 other of my uplines to go meet up with Mike on Saturday. So looking forward to the convention for sure.
Yeah, and Ronnie, I filled Mike in. He's looking forward to meeting you guys, you and Bobby, and then Mark Combs.
Mark Combs.
So, yeah. So anyways, it's going to be a great event. I wish I was going down, but I think Mike's got it handled.
Right.
All right, you guys. Well, listen, appreciate everybody jumping on. 71 people. That's a record for this meeting. So let's just keep growing. You guys have an awesome weekend. And we'll catch you on the Monday call at 4 o'clock, which is the Heritage Team call. All right. Okay, guys. Thank you. Zach, thanks for joining us, brother.
Thanks, Zach.
Thanks, guys.